Welcome back to the channel, survivors. In today's video, we're going to be diving back into Ark Survival Ascended. I'm going to show you guys how to hit level 100 plus the fastest. Now, keep in mind, this is not a beginner's guide for gaining experience. This is more of a mid-game guide to help you guys achieve level 100 and beyond, especially if you guys are looking to level up to do the Alpha Dragon to unlock the tech engrams. Alrighty, so then diving right in, guys. Now, in order for this strategy to work, we're going to just kind of give you guys step by step in the way in order that you need to do things in order for this to work out, the most efficient. Tip number one, you're going to absolutely want and need a baryonyx, all right, because this is going to require you to run a cave, and there are a lot of the dinos bigger than a baryonyx obviously won't fit inside of a cave, and a baryonyx, in my opinion, is one of the most underrated dinos, but they work really well for the strategy we're going to pull off. All right, so a baryonyx is what I would recommend, and the second thing that is an absolute requirement is a gas mask. All right, you're gonna need one of these, otherwise this entire strategy won't work. So a gas mask and a very high level baryonyx. Again, keep in mind this is a mid-game strategy, not a beginner's guide. Additionally, I will state that you can actually run this with a couple of other smaller dinos. I know somebody mentioned that you can run it with a frog. This obviously would generate a hell of a lot more cementing paste for you, but again, this strategy is all about trying to level you up quicker and not necessarily focused on farming, an abundance of cementing paste. So again, to each your own, use whatever dino you see fit, but for me and for my tribe on my private PvE server, we found that baryonyx are the best dinos to do this. Alrighty, so now that you got your baryonyx and you have your gas mask ready to go, I highly recommend probably bringing a second gas mask depending on how many times you plan to do the strategy, but either way, you got all of these things ready to go. The next step is we're actually going to start going around the island and collecting as many explorer notes as we possibly can to get the experience buff. A lot of you guys probably know that if you unlock these explorer notes by walking up to them, and you will discover these as you explore the entire arc, but as you go ahead and discover them, you will unlock a little bonus experience icon down in the bottom right hand side. This icon is going to give you 2 times the experience you normally would by doing activities while you have this bonus up. You can see the second countdown timer is constantly running down, and when it eventually hits 0, then you will no longer have 2 times experience bonus. Well, essentially these can actually stack. If you go around and you collect multiple explorer notes before the first one ends, for instance, you will see, as I show you in this footage, that it will constantly stack up, allowing you to accumulate a lot of 2-time experience bonus, as you can see indicated in seconds. Additionally, on top of the 2 times experience buff, there is actually 6 different 4 times experience buffs that you can find via explorer notes on the island as well. Keep in mind here, as you guys can see, you can actually stack them both side by side. The 2 times experience still is there, while I now have the 4x. This again is going to be something crucial that you're going to want to do prior to the next step. And now when it comes to actually finding all these explorer notes, because I know some of you guys might say in the comments it can take you quite some time to do so, there's actually a really good resource I recommend you guys checking out, and that is actually on the arkwiki.gg Wiki Explorer Map. This map here is interactive. You guys can turn off all the different settings on the left hand side here. I went ahead and turned off the cave entrance and the dossier. I left the obelisk, so that kind of gives you guys an idea of where things are located, and I've got the explorer notes up. You can see all of the different explorer notes that you guys can go around and collect. Obviously, do whichever ones you feel are closer in proximity, or that you can even do. Sometimes if they're in a more dangerous location and maybe you're not a super high level or your dino isn't the best, either way here, you just want to find as many as you possibly can prior to going into the next step. When it comes to locating some of these and knowing that they are a 4 times experience bonus versus a standard 2 times experience bonus explorer note, you can see it's indicated by this one here in the left-hand side of the volcano. If we clicked on this one, instead of it having a name, it actually changes it to 3 question marks, and the ones that are labeled with that 3 question mark and then the note number will actually be a 4 times experience buff when you then go and activate them. Alrighty, so now that we have collected a lot of these explorer notes and we have the 2 times and the 4 times experience buffs on our characters, we're going to go ahead and do a couple of extra items and then dive right into the cave that we're actually going to run. Now, before we continue on to the next step, I forgot to mention one other thing thing you guys are want to craft and, drink before you go into the cave, and that is the Broth of Enlightenment. On top of the 2x experience gain bonus and the 4x experience gain bonus, this will give you additional experience, making it a lot faster to level up. Alrighty, so now that you've got everything prepared and you are ready to dive into the cave here, what we're actually going to do is head over to the swamp cave. Once again, we're going to go back to the Ark Wiki's website, utilize the interactive map. This time we're going to turn off Explorer notes and turn on the cave entrance. You'll see the only cave that we have inside of the redwoods on the far west of the map is actually going to be the swamp cave. This is the reason why you're going to need a gas mask, because you cannot go in here without dying from the poisonous gas if you do not have one on. And as well, this is why you're going to want to run a baryonyx, for instance, because it does fit through the entryway. Either way, we're going to go ahead and head through the cave now and then start farming. So now the reason why that this cave is actually really good is because there are waves and waves and waves of bugs, all right? So every single time you go into a different room, a lot of times you will pull this massive swarm of these bugs, and by killing all of these, utilizing all of the experience gains from the Explorer notes and the Broth of Enlightenment, it really expedites the amount of levels that you can farm via the swamp cave, and this is the only one that has this many bugs. So now additionally, when it comes to dealing with these swarms, it is very easy to get overwhelmed and potentially have your dino die or even yourself die, and that is something you want to avoid for this strategy to be, optimal. All right, so with that being said, I'm going to give you guys some tips. So tip number one, when you guys are fighting these giant swarms, before you go into the next room and pull all of that, make sure you have a clear path behind you. How you want to attack is actually attack from a distance, allow them to swarm you from the front, and then slowly back up as you're attacking. This will make sure that they don't swarm you like entirely, that you can't get your dinos stuck in one place and then you're just getting chomped on from all sides, and that, my friends, is a easy way to get your dino killed. So you want to just make sure you practice this a few times, let them attack you from the front, utilize the pushback from the baryonyx, and then just slowly work your way back. It is a very easy strategy. Now, one thing additionally to keep in mind, the arthropleuras, aka the little giant centipede things, they actually have two mechanics I want to talk about. The very first one, when you attack them, they actually do reflective damage back to your baryonyx, which will make you take a lot more damage. So that's just something to keep in mind. Attack them when you can, avoid them when you can, that sort of thing. The second mechanic is their spit that they actually, shoot at you from a distance can actually sometimes hit you as the rider, destroy your gear and everything else, and instead of hitting the dino. And in order to avoid that, you want to make sure you're running up on top of them. You want to stay on top of them. They normally don't do their spit mechanic if you're right on top of them, chomping at them from, from above, and it makes it a little bit easier to try to make sure that you don't get attacked and you can still maintain wearing your armor, or in general, just maintain you staying alive. And last but not least here, I want to talk about, and that relates to the drops that you can find inside of the cave. Obviously, if you guys are, more than willing and want to pick up those drops, you can, but I cannot stress enough, I highly do not recommend doing so for a couple of reasons. One, there are a lot of leeches in the water, and there's a good chance that you'll either get leeched yourself or your dino will get leeched, and you'll just take a lot of damage and cause a lot of other problems. But secondly, remember those timers are constantly running down for your experience bonuses, and you want to make sure that you take advantage of all that bonus experience as much as possible. So I'd highly recommend that you potentially ignore the drops and everything and just run straight through, killing everything you possibly can. And that, my friends, is officially going to wrap up the strategy here for the fastest way to hit level 100 and beyond. Again, just reframe here, this is not a beginner's guide. If you guys are looking to level up early game, you can go check out other videos on the YouTube platform. This one is specifically designed for those mid-game players looking to get into alpha boss runs that do require level 100, and for those players that are already level 100 looking for some bonus experience to unlock the next set of engrams and everything and levels. But either way, guys, that's going to be it for me. As always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe here on the channel for everything Ark Survival Ascended related. Don't forget, I do have a Discord community as well. If you're looking to join that, you can do so by utilizing the link down below in the description. With that being said, as always, guys, I'll see ya on the next one.